Okay, so the conference is being recorded now. We're going to start with the calendar of upcoming events for Area 3. So in September 27th through the 29th, we have the Fall Fun Rally, which will be within the borders of the Greater St. Louis Area Council. You can go to the website to find more information on that, because there is definitely plenty. So if you're willing to join us for the fantastic 40th Fall Fun Rally, we will all be there, and we hope to see you there too. After that, we have a few weekends off, and then November 9th, we will have the Area 3 Program Conference, and that's the Central Region Area 3 Program Committee that will be in attendance. Again, you can find more information at the link that is on your screen. And then in January, on the 10th and the 11th, we will have our Area 3 Venturing Conference. That's going to be held in Normal, Illinois at the Calvary United Methodist Church. It's for Central Region Area 3 and VOA members. The cost is going to be $20, and there's lots of training sessions going on Saturday, as well as an opportunity on Friday night to go through an ILSC or VLST for youth and adults. So it's a really great opportunity to meet your Area 3 officers, as well as get training and other stuff like that. So now we're going to move into the webinar. So I would like to introduce Emily Mouthart. She is one of our presenters for today. She's a past Central Region Area 3 Venturing President, as well as the current Central Region Venturing Vice President of Communications.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce Lizzie, who is just speaking. She's the current Central Region Area 3 President and a freshman at Lindenwood studying math and education, and she served on NYLP staff and various council positions, so a very knowledgeable person.
All right, with that, we're going to get started with the content.
All right, so in order to look more fully at how the venturing program fits into all of scouting, we wanted to first look at different age groups and different grade levels for each part of the scouting program. So first is Cub Scouts. They're 1st to 5th graders generally, and about 7 to 10 years old. And then 5th grade, or around the time of age 11, they cross over into Boy Scouts. And the programs are a little bit different. Cub Scouts is obviously geared more to younger kids, and then the Boy Scouts has more merit badges and skill instruction and that kind of stuff. And then we have venturing, which is 8th grade through roughly the junior year of college, but we focus more on the age requirement, which is 14 to 21. Venturing and Sea Scouting both have the same age requirements and have sort of a similar role in how they fit in with scouting. They both work as really good older boy programs, so once a boy becomes 18 and can no longer be a youth in Boy Scouts, he can still come and be a youth in venturing for 3 more years, so it kind of works as more program there. And then there's also, between age 14 and 18, they both serve as a really good older boy program within a troop too, to have different high adventure activities and such. And then they're also good standalone programs for girls and guys that are not still involved with Boy Scouts. So.
Okay, so she kind of just talked about the recruiting market and how the ages factor into what group you can be in with scouting. So, like it says, youth can be registered in more than one unit. So that means boys that are in the troop that are 14 or older can also be in a crew. So venturing makes a great older boy program. It's somewhere for the youth to advance on to another program that's going to give them the most opportunities. So she also mentioned that after boys turn 18, venturing is a place for them to go and continue to be a youth. You get 3 more years of just being a youth and enjoying the program and using the leadership that you can learn to give back to the program. At this point in venturing, the girls are introduced to the program, so that's a new twist. And I mean, I really enjoy it, and I know a bunch of others do. So that's something that gives females the opportunity to be involved in this Boy Scouts of America program. The transition into high school is an opportunity to recruit. And we put that because as youth move into high school, it's a place for them to have a new atmosphere and start in new groups. And so these groups can relate to the whole high school experience as well as how they move into college. And so it prepares them for opportunities that will happen in the future, but lets them have fun and do service and leadership throughout their years. So when you move from middle school to high school, that's a really great opportunity to recruit any youth interested in any of the program areas. As you can see in the picture, there's a picture of a young man who just got his Eagle, and so at his Eagle Court of Honor, he is moving into venturing to just get a few more years as a youth and have fun. And then one of the other pictures also is with a few venturers and a scout who is also involved, as a venturer, and they are meeting with youth from across the continent, I guess you could consider. They're from Italy, so that was a really great opportunity to just meet new people, even if you may never see them again. It was really fun because I'm in that picture, so it's cool. But it's a great opportunity just for anybody to get involved, and you can recruit to literally anybody. So the current awards that we have are designed for venturers to mentor others in the knowledge they have gained. There's plenty of awards that are happening. They are based on what the crew is based on, and they're whatever you want to do. So their youth-led program offers a bunch of different opportunities. It instills leadership in the youth, and that's applicable to mentoring others, because any contact that you come into with others can then be associated with what you've done in the venturing program. Our last bullet point on this mentoring slide is the opportunity for camps. So we have day camps, summer camps, etc. These pictures are all from National Youth Leadership Training, which we'll talk about a little more later. But they're just opportunities in which the staff was teaching and mentoring the youth that came as participants. They're giving presentations, they're demonstrating skills, anything like that. That is considered mentoring, and that's what the program can focus on, and it really gives back to your community when you mentor others, and there's plenty of atmosphere to that.
So, like what you were talking about with summer camps, we're going to move into summer camps in general. Every venturing camp or Boy Scout camp is going to be different, so no one is going to have all of the same qualities. But in general, they tend to focus more on high adventure. So venturers come for high adventure rather than merit badge instruction or skill instruction or something like that. I know with the summer camp that I worked at over the summer, there was a lot of rappelling, climbing, high ropes, low ropes, lots of guns, pretty much anything that venturers were allowed to shoot, we shot. And so it's a lot more high adventure stuff. And then if you look at high adventure bases, there's 4 now, so Philmont, Sea Base, Northern Tier, and the Summit. And they're all open to both Boy Scouts and venturers. So one of the cool opportunities is that you can actually mix Boy Scouts and venturers, Sea Scouts, all into one high adventure crew. So they can all go out together and bring in different perspectives of what scouting is into their high adventure. So I guess it's not always just venturers going as a group or just Boy Scouts, but you can have Boy Scouts, venturers, Sea Scouts, all of that together. Okay, and then looking at training, a little bit ago they kind of redesigned some of the venturing training. We went from Venturing Leadership Skills course to ILSC, and it kind of made it a little bit more similar to the Boy Scout model of training. So it kind of starts off with ILS, which is Introduction to Leadership Skills, and then either for troops, crews, or ships. It's all the same program, just with different terminology. So instead of a troop or a crew, instead of a senior patrol leader, we have a crew president, those kinds of things. it teaches a lot of the basic leadership skills, such as communication, planning, teamwork, servant leadership, all of that kind of stuff, and has classroom setting learning, if you want to call it that, but mixed in with a lot of different games. So it's a fun course, usually done in a couple of hours. It's a prerequisite for NYLT, or National Youth Leadership Training, and that's what Lizzie's going to talk about next.
Right. So NYLT is a basis off of the ILS for troops, crews, or ships, and so it's a week-long course, and it can be done anywhere, basically. It's usually set up in the council program, but it can be conducted, like Emily said, for the ILSCs and stuff like that. It can be conducted using non-program specific terminology. So it's a thing that Boy Scouts normally do. In my council, we have a week designated just for adventurers. In other councils, you can find that the adventurers are thrown in to the Boy Scout program. But it can be used for anybody, because Boy Scouts use patrols. Crews, we obviously use, well, the crews, like I just said, but we use some of the same methods in teaching that and in leadership in general. This NYLT can also be used throughout a person's life. So they don't have to be applied just to scouting skills, but they can be used within teams of sports teams or school groups, anything like that. So it's a very well-developed program. Generally, it's done at a camp, and it's hardcore, roughing-it camp-style skills that you learn, but by learning those skills, you learn how to be an effective learner and how to teach those skills and how to really advance from that into how to teach that and how to be a mentor to others. So NYLT is like a week-long course that allows youth to be participants in learning how to lead and how to lead effectively. And then that kind of leads into what Emily is going to talk about, which is NAIL.
So NAIL is short for National Advanced Youth Leadership Experience, and attending NYLT is a prerequisite for NAIL as well. So it kind of moves up the chain with leadership. You do one course and then you go to the next one, and it fills out like a nice little training opportunity, I guess. But NAIL is also typically a one-week program. It's held at Philmont, and I believe they're going to start it at the summit, correct me if I'm wrong, shortly. And so you go out for a week, and you basically just put everything into practice. So there's not too much like sit down, like, here, I'm going to teach you about communication, or I'm going to teach you about planning. But we went out and did geocaching or first aid skills. And at first it's kind of like, okay, well, how am I learning leadership and teamwork and all of that here? But if you look at it, you're using all the skills. So for communication, or when you're doing first aid skills, you're obviously communicating to work together to, solve somebody's health or medical issue. Or geocaching, putting in planning so that you're not just wandering around in a million different directions, but you kind of put a good plan to it to go in a circle or square or whatever. And then there's also definitely the stages of team development get played within that week. All these people that have taken courses in different places, and you put them in with new people for a week, and you're definitely going to go through every stage of team development.
Okay, and then next we're going to talk about Kodiak. And if you can see the little diagram at the bottom of your screen, it points out that the introduction you start with that, and then you move on to NYLT, which then moves on to NAIL, which is what Emily has been talking about. After any of those steps, you can do the Kodiak program. And so that's changed a little bit in the recent years, but basically you plan your course and you plan your high adventure, and that's part of the program, is using the leadership skills that you've learned in any of those previous sessions to plan the program the high adventure program that you want to experience. And so it's a way of using teamwork and leadership in developing like real world skills, even if it's just for a camp out or something of the sort. But it's run by crews or districts, some of the lower levels if you need them to be, because it is such a course that can be, I don't even know what the word is, I guess developed for any group that you need it to be developed for. Okay, so the councils work with VOAs. A lot of the times you can see ventures within the council, but sometimes they are very quiet and people don't even know what they are. So the council in a VOA provides support and resources for venturers. Typically you have the volunteer force and a professional contact that leads them back to the council. There's a bunch of pictures here, and these are all from the Greater St. Louis Area Council, which is my home council. So these are the VOA within the council, and it's just it represents where we are and how we can be seen. So some of these are from the training that we held to teach officers what we're doing and how they're going to do their job efficiently and completely. And so that's what they're doing. The council a lot of the times will have ventures out on the side, but we are seen. So we are able to mix with the Boy Scouts and the Cub Scouts and any other group within the council to be of service and just do stuff with them when we need to and when we want to.
Okay, so looking at personal development within venturing, I guess three of the main points, or at least how I describe venturing to people, is that it focuses on leadership, service, and high adventure. So first looking at leadership, Lizzie was just kind of talking about how youth are involved with the council. And leadership is definitely there. Like, those are totally the same idea, I guess, because it's venturing is a youth-led program. So what gets done and what people want to do and all of the program planning and all of that happens because of the youth that lead. So taking leadership and then putting into like high adventure plans or choosing what you want to do, leadership is developed within venturing that way.
So along with the leadership, a lot of the things that we do is service. So in leadership, we can plan service events and stuff like that. And what the service does for us as a person, it helps us develop our character and set a strong set of values. So the Scout Oath and Law and the Venturing Oath and Code that we live by is seen in the service that we do. It's all about servant leadership, if we talked about that a little bit. So the leadership and service kind of go together because as a servant leader, you're doing it for others. So you're doing something for the good of not of yourself, but for others. And that's who we get to serve. Some of these pictures you can see is the Sea Scout ship doing a service of the flag ceremony. And that's just a service that they do all the time. You know, they're used to it. It's formal, and they're really good at it, and so they can perform this service for others and just make it look good like they always do.
Okay, and then looking at high adventure as well, kind of like Lizzie was talking about, high adventure helps you kind of discover who you are and your character, your values, and all of that. Let's be honest, most people do high adventure because it's fun or it's enjoyable, but at the same time, it can teach you a lot about who you are with your strengths and weaknesses, different skills that you have. I guess just helps you to develop like what you're good at and put that into effect with leadership and service through what you're doing on a high adventure activity. And I think one of the big things with high adventure too, more than just like, oh, we're going to go out horseback riding or whatever, but like facing your fears, doing something that you're afraid of, I guess. So if you're terrified of heights and you want to go rappelling, obviously that's high adventure, and if you're looking at what you're afraid of, and then you're just conquering that as a part of your high adventure program. So one thing my career advisor has always told us that you can't change your fear, but you can learn how to deal with it. So you're never just going to not be afraid of heights or not be afraid of spiders or whatever, but you can learn how to deal with that when you're facing that fear. You know, when you're going off the edge of a cliff and you're afraid of heights, how is your body reacting and how are you going to react in order to accomplish something bigger. And so I think that's a big part of what high adventure is teaching you how to go beyond what you think you can do.
And that kind of relates into leadership and service also. So the core three that we do, which is leadership, service, and high adventure, they're all about how you can be a better person and how you can learn to be a well-rounded individual and help others all the time. So like the title says, it's personal development. So it's all up to you whether you can conquer your fears or do anything like that, or whether you're helping somebody else that helps you as well. So at this time, if you have any questions, or if you have already asked questions, you can type them into the chat box and we'll try and get those answered. Okay, so while we're waiting for questions, I'm going to talk about the upcoming webinars that we have to do. In October, in about a month, it'll be on the 15th, and we will be talking about the Council Standards of Venturing Excellence as well as the Venturing Leadership Awards. So that'll be insight into what councils are doing and how we can recognize leaders within councils and areas, and etc. In November, on the 19th, we will do marketing and recruiting for venturing and Sea Scouting. And in December, again on the 19th, we will be doing venturing officer selection and how that process goes beyond council. Okay. Seeing as there are no questions yet, we will send out a survey if you type in your email, or if we have your email, and we'll get that out so that we can hopefully improve our upcoming webinars. Like I said, if you are going to join us at the Fall Fun Rally, which is in 2 weeks, I guess you would consider it, a little over a week, sorry.